I'm Riley, and I was crushed when I found out that the man I married was a freaking cheater. Jim and I were together for 8 years before we got married. We were your classic high school sweethearts who had seemingly made it to the finish line. But we didn't live happily ever after. One day, quite randomly, I found out that Jim was cheating. It was an employee of his who contacted me. My husband was actually a decent businessman in a small city. You may or may not recognize me, so I did use fake names. I'm Riley, and you will also know more about my husband Jim and mother-in-law Tina. So Jim's employee reached out to me with proof that my husband was cheating. I was in denial for a week, but guess who snapped me out of my denial? My husband Jim. He came home and said, "I want a divorce. I'll be filing soon, but I already made the decision. I thought you should know. I don't want to be with you anymore." What? Why, Jim? I don't understand. There has to be a reason for this. Well, I just don't love you anymore. So it is true. You are having an affair. Jim's face went white when I said that. He didn't expect me to find out. I don't know why. I don't know if he had actually thought that he could get away with whatever poor excuse he could find for the divorce. When I revealed that I knew about his affair, he looked shocked and a little angry. He said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not in love with you anymore, so we are divorcing. We will split amicably and keep what's ours." You think I will let you walk away without consequences? I know about your affair, and I have enough proof. I don't care if you leave me for someone else. I already wasted years for you. I am not doing that anymore, but I will go after your assets, as the prenup states. Let's not make things difficult, Riley. We don't have to strictly follow the prenup. We can sort this out between ourselves. I knew why he was so against me bringing up the affair. You see, me and Jim had a prenup in place. It was done in his insistence. He wanted to protect himself in case of a divorce and didn't want me to cheat and get away with it. I was fine with it because I wasn't going to cheat anyway, and the prenup terms looked fair. Now, Jim hadn't realized that he would one day end up being the one to cheat. He found himself in a tough position because he really did want to marry his mistress. I looked her up, and I'm not kidding you when I say that she looks like a supermodel. Good for Jim, I guess. Anyway, the affair slowly took away all the feelings I had for Jim. I was now filled with the rage instead of being heartbroken. Jim wanted to screw me over and take away what is rightfully mine. I wasn't going to let that happen. I said, "Let me be clear about one thing, Jim. I am going to get what is rightfully mine. I know you don't want to talk about your affair because of the prenup. Sadly for you, I already have a mountain of evidence against you. Damn you, Riley, why can't you just leave me alone? Just let us split amicably." You are the one who insisted on the prenup, Jim. You can't fault me for trying to uphold it. Besides, why would I let go of the opportunity to take your money? Say what you say, Jim. I will uphold the prenup and bring up your affair. This won't end well for you, Riley. Let me be clear about that. I will find a way to make things even. I won't let you take away my money. Jim's threat loomed in the air even after he left the house. I was already on the verge of tears and broke down when he left, presumably to be with his mistress. I cried from anger and sadness. I didn't know how I chose such a wrong man for me. I wasted years of my life loving the wrong man. But I wasn't going to sit back and let him do what he wanted. I wanted to take matters into my own hands, so I immediately called Tina, my mother-in-law, who is one of the closest people I have. I know many of you have really horrible mother-in-laws, but my one is just a gem of a woman. Tina is super wealthy like her son, but his exact opposite. Tina was a woman of morals and treated everyone with love and respect. She was very confused as to why we were divorcing. I chose not to tell her everything because I was afraid she would side with Jim. I do have some childhood trauma from my parents abandoning me, so I was scared I would lose Tina as well. Tina did her best to convince both of us to reconcile because she didn't know what went wrong. Eventually, I moved out of Jim's house and got my own apartment. Tina was sad but more angry at Jim because he was the one who initiated the divorce. Jim probably thought that once he told his mom everything, she would side with him. He was her son after all. To be honest, I was scared of that happening too. I really loved Tina and didn't want to lose her. But she did the exact opposite. One day she called me in a panic and told me that she wanted to come over. She looked really glum and said, "Riley, I need to talk to you in person. There's something I found out about Jim. I wanted to come and tell you." "Is this about Jim cheating on me, Tina?" "Wait, you already know about that? I didn't know a thing." "It's been happening for over 6 months now, Tina. I got proof. One of his employees told me about it and sent me pictures as well. I found out more later. It doesn't matter anymore, though." "Oh, God, Riley. I just found everything out yesterday. Jim came to me and confessed. I had no idea you two were getting a divorce. I'm so sorry. Riley, I failed to raise my son right. I feel awful. I am a horrible mother." Tina started to cry, and I actually felt very bad for her. None of this was her fault. She was a good mother and an awesome mother-in-law. Tina had become my family, and she was almost a mother to me too. I started to cry with her when I realized that I was about to lose her in the divorce as well. But what happened next dispelled my fears. I said, "Tina, please don't blame yourself. You have been nothing but kind to me. None of this is your fault. You are a good mother, Tina." No, you don't understand. There is more. I'm ashamed to even tell you about this. You will definitely judge me and my family when I tell you." "I don't think I will ever do that, Tina. Whatever Jim does is not on you. If there is anything more you want to share, you can tell me." "Riley, my son has gone crazy. He has made an entire plan to trap you and get you arrested." What the hell? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Jim was trying to get me arrested? And he planned to do that by trapping me? This was straight out of a horror movie for me. Had I failed to recognize the true Jim when I fell in love with him? Had I messed up that bad? What Tina said only made my fears worse. She said, "Jim is planning to hide some of his cash in your new place and then call the cops on you. He says that in this way, he would avoid losing his money and assets to you. Your prenup has a clause that states the prenup is void if both parties are found to be at fault. So that's why he has made this plan. He told you everything because he thought you wouldn't divulge his secret. I don't know how delusional he can be. Why in the world did he think I would support him, Riley? I'm on your side. What my son did and is trying to do is awful. I am so ashamed. I am so sorry." "Tina, you don't have to be sorry. Thank you so much for coming to me. See, you told me everything despite him being your son. You truly are a good person. I don't want to lose you after the divorce. You were like a mother to me." "There is no way you are getting rid of me, Riley. You are like a daughter to me too. Jim can go kick rocks. I don't want to see you get trapped in his evil schemes. Please tell me you will protect yourself." "Don't worry, Tina. I'm not someone to be messed with. Now that I know what Jim is planning to do, I will trap him in his own plan." I told Tina my plan, and she looked really satisfied with what I had in mind. I had a small fear that she would object to it to protect her son, but to my surprise she said that it was fitting. So with my sweet mother-in-law's approval, I got on with my plan. But first I needed to do some shopping. I ordered some cameras online so that I could establish CCTV surveillance in my room. My building already had CCTV coverage on the stairwell, so I only needed to cover the rooms. I took the help of a friend and set up the cameras around the apartment. Then I waited for Jim to make his appearance, and he didn't disappoint. Jim randomly showed up one day to discuss the divorce. It almost made me laugh at how ridiculous the excuse was, but I humored him and pretended to believe him. Then, when I went into the kitchen, I saw him walk towards my study and discreetly put something inside my desk drawer. I smiled to myself and didn't bother confronting him. I wanted him to think that I didn't know what he was doing. In reality, my cameras would receive everything. That was how I planned to trap him. Jim talked about the divorce for like 10 minutes before he bolted. Good riddance, because his mere presence was irritating me to no end. After he left, I checked the camera footage to see if Jim had planted the cash on my work desk. I didn't want to check in person because I wanted to maintain to the cops that I didn't know about the money. So I checked on my phone. Well, Tina was right. Jim did hide his cash in my work desk. I was freaking furious. I thanked heavens that I had an amazing mother-in-law like Tina who warned me about Jim. If she had kept quiet, I wouldn't have had any proof of my innocence. I quietly saved the footage and then waited for Jim's next move. By the end of the next day, the cops were at my door with Jim. I said, "Hello, officers and Jim. This is a surprise. How can I help you today?" "This gentleman here has reason to think that you have stolen his money. I understand that you two are husband and wife." "That's right, officer. We are husband and wife, but we are in the process of filing for divorce." "Okay, I understand. So your husband has been missing about $20,000 in cash. He says that you had taken his money without permission when you left his house a week back." "I don't know what you're talking about, officer. I didn't take any cash at all. I am not someone who steals money like that." It was true. I hate stealing and wouldn't do that under any circumstances. The cops looked like they didn't want to act in haste and listen to all parties involved. Jim didn't like that at all. He immediately jumped in and said, "Officer, she's lying. I'm sure she is the one who stole my money. She always did that when we were married. That's one of the reasons why I'm divorcing her." "Why are you lying to the officers, Jim? You know damn well I wouldn't do anything like that." "You don't have to act so innocent, Riley. I know for a fact that you stole my money. It was with me in my secret drawer until last week. No one has been in my house after that." "Well, ma'am, do you happen to know something about where the money might be?" Jim looked at me like he was confident I would get arrested. He was sure that he had hidden the money well and the cops would arrest me on his accusations. He also thought that I was a clueless woman who didn't know what he had planned. Well, he was in for a big surprise. I said to the cops, "Officers, I will show you where the money is and who moved it there. It won't take a long time. I have concrete proof of it as well." "Okay, ma'am. If you do have proof, we would love to see it. We don't want to arrest you for nothing." "She is lying, officer. She stole my money because I'm divorcing her. She's just trying to get away with it by lying. I think you should arrest her right now." "We will do what we think is fit, sir. Since ma'am here has already offered to prove herself innocent, I have to investigate before arresting her." Jim looked kind of nervous for a second before shutting his mouth and going back to being angry. To be honest, the officers didn't look very thrilled with his rudeness and insistence on getting me arrested. I took the cops to my work desk and showed them where the cash was. Immediately, Jim's face lit up and he smirked at me. He jumped at this chance to finally throw me in jail. He excitedly said, "Did you see that, officers? She had my money hidden right in her closet. She is so sure of getting away that she doesn't even bother to hide it. You need to arrest her. That's all the proof you will need, officers." "Yes, your money is in my closet, but I am not the one who put it here. Officers, I must inform you that I have cameras everywhere in the house. I live here alone, so I didn't require permission from anyone. I can show you who put the money in my closet. If it was me, you would see me in the CCTVs as well. What? You have cameras in the house? Well, we don't need to see any videos. The money was found in your closet, and that's proof enough to prove your guilt. We don't need more proof. I think we can speak for ourselves, sir. You need to let us do our job instead of telling us what to do. Ma'am, you can show us the camera footage if you will. Sure, have a look. I don't have any problem showing you what happened to the money and how it ended up here. I pulled out my phone and showed the cops a video of what happened last night. I didn't have to worry about personal videos because I changed in my closet or the bathroom. When I presented my phone to the cops, Jim seemed to be in a panic mode. He didn't know what kind of footage I had, but he knew that I wasn't lying about the cameras. When the cops were done seeing the camera footage, they said, "All right, sir. We've seen all the footage and saw you put yours in her closet. Looks like you planted the money here to get your wife arrested, sir." "What are you talking about, officers? I'm sure there must be a mistake. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't do anything. She's the one who stole money from me." "Sir, do you realize that we can arrest you for calling us unnecessarily? And your wife here can definitely file a police report for harassment and defamation as well." Jim suddenly started to look scared. He started to spew nonsense about why the video showed him sneaking into my room, hiding money in my closet. He stammered and his hands were shaking. He tried to convince the cops that it was a mistake and so on. The cops were just not having it. After listening to Jim's nonsense for a while, they turned to me and said, "Ma'am, do you want to press charges against your husband?" "Now, officers, we don't have to do anything like that. It was a small misunderstanding. We can solve it between ourselves. There's no need for any police report or something." "I think we'll let your wife decide that, sir. It falls within her legal right to sue you and get you arrested right now." Jim then turned to look at me with fear and anxiety in his eyes. I could tell that he understood how badly he had messed up. In his hurry to frame me as a thief for an easy divorce, he had fallen into his own trap. Now he didn't know what to do except to beg me for mercy. He said, "Riley, we don't have to do this. We can solve this between ourselves. There's no reason to get the cops involved." "Why not, Jim? You involved the cops in the first place even when you had no reason to. I have a pretty good reason to get you arrested. You tried to ruin my reputation by accusing me of theft." "It was a dumb and stupid mistake, Riley. I swear I wasn't going to land you in serious trouble. I just wanted to get even in the divorce so that you cannot keep the prenup." "Oh, trust me, Jim. I already knew that. I can't believe that you would stoop so low. I hope your new girl is freaking worth it because, dear husband, you are getting arrested." Jim looked shocked and the color drained from his face. I told the cops I would love to press charges against my husband. They were happy with my decision and handcuffed him on the spot. This is when Jim's tears began. He started to cry and beg for mercy. It was actually pretty pathetic and disgusting to watch. I knew that this was what he tried to do to me. Any pity or sympathy I had for him was long gone after discovering his affair. So his tears or apologies meant nothing to me anymore. The cops took him away while I sighed with relief. After the cops dragged Jim away, I immediately called Tina and told her what went down. She wasn't shocked, of course, but I had to warn her of the consequences as well. I said, "Tina, he will get bail and won't have much trouble, but I guess he will turn to you to vent. I'm afraid there is a chance he might suspect your involvement in this." "Well, I'm prepared for that. If he dares to show his face in my house, I will tell him what I really think of him, and I will tell him that I was the one who informed you of his plan." "Are you sure about that, Tina? Jim will be super mad at you. He might stop talking to you and take this very personally." "In that case, good for me. I don't want any connection with him anyway. I am so done with Jim. If he gets mad at me for doing something good, that's on him. Besides, his behavior has me questioning a few things, and I think I will change my will. What are you planning to do, Tina? I think I will disinherit him. I don't want a homewrecker to lay hands on my money, and I cannot forget the fact that my son is a freaking criminal. I will never forgive him for betraying you and trying to ruin your life. I do thank the heavens that I got Tina as my mother-in-law. I can't tell you how much I cried after hearing Tina say that. It felt nice knowing that someone in this world would stand up for me. Tina comforted me for some time and promised to take me on a trip with her once the divorce was finalized. You may wonder what came out of Jim's arrest. Well, nothing came out of it. I didn't sue him. Instead, I held it over his head and quickly got a divorce. Because of his arrest and affair, the prenup was upheld and I got over 70% of our assets. He lost quite a good amount of money and also paid my lawyer's fees as stated in the prenup. At the end of the divorce, Jim was severely traumatized by his own schemes and plans. Jim also ended his relationship with his affair partner after she yelled at him for losing money to me. I knew that the woman was only after Jim for his money, but Jim was stupid enough to think that she was in love with him. His relationship soured quickly and added to my revenge, although this wasn't intentional. Tina and Jim are no longer on speaking terms. They see each other at family events and still don't talk. After the news of our divorce, affair, and arrest came out, Jim actually lost a good bit of family members as well. They found his behavior atrocious and immediately proceeded to cut him off. He is still being constantly criticized long after our divorce was already over. Tina and Jim had a huge argument where she told him that she was disowning him. Jim was not happy, of course. He had lost his mom, wife, and mistress in a matter of months. Now, he's all alone, trying to rebuild his savings and his reputation. Now, let me tell you about me. I'm probably at the best freaking stage in my life. The divorce made me even richer than before. As Tina had promised, we took a trip together for a week in Hawaii. We had a great time bonding even better. It's been a year since my divorce and we actually had a trip planned next month to Spain. I haven't started dating again yet because of some mental health problems that I'm seeing a therapist for it. Life is good and I'm taking time to relax and learn to be on my own again.